Have you ever just been a multi-billion-dollar company? No one individually could be that. That was a ridiculous question. Well, have you ever talked to one or worked in a software that's owned by one? Because I have. It's called Notion.so. It's probably the best app that exists, in my opinion. I'm a consultant for it. I make a bunch of templates. I make apps inside the app. This thing still doesn't have a Google Calendar sync. So I decided should probably do that, right? Is that what I should do? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I should do. So what I ended up doing was using Make.com along with my Notion app system to have a very easy setup, and something that I'm actually considering making templatable, which I would like to get a vibe check on whether that's something you'd be interested in. But essentially what I have is Notion and Google Calendar connected with a multitude of different things that allow it to sync to my workspace. If you go to my workspace here, you'll notice something. There's a lot of meetings here. How do I have all my meetings and notes here? How is that even possible? And the reason for that is that I actually took Make.com and said, you know what? You deserve to have an automation that connects with things. Now, I will admit, I do have a few little minor tweaks in this workspace that I just casually worked out because I needed to get rid of, there's some names. I was blocking calls from my Calendly and it showed up there, and I guess I should filter it to not blocked. But regardless, I have things in my meetings that are connected to my daily life and my meetings and all these different things. So for example, right here, you'll see this eye appointment at 7:30 a.m. on Saturday, or well, 8:30, I can't count, shows up in my calendar in Notion at 8:30 on Saturday. The link connects to my Google Calendar directly, and it has the exact time that it was created and the last time it was edited within here. And the amazing thing about this is the fact that once I made this, I just set and forget it. And anytime I make a new meeting in here, like this one, for example, go to meetings, don't bother me, it's a holiday. We can actually see how this would run. So if we go in here, there are 4 different ways that this thing is sliced. We obviously have, if there's a Google Calendar update, a new Google Calendar page, if Notion were to change anything that then can push back to Google Calendar, or just searching through different events. Because what happens is when you have a recurring event in Google, you're not gonna be able to have it always indicate that it is a new thing. Since it's recurring, it needs to just kind of find the events. So let's pretend like we can go here and edit, and this guy runs every 3 hours. However, if I press run once, what happened just now is it went through a multiple step process where it said, okay, was the created time within the last 3 hours, since in theory, every 3 hours this should go off? Yeah. Let's look for sync names. So we go in here and what does it do? It goes into the meetings and notes database I have, and it says, okay, well, is the name there? Yeah. And is the event link URL there as well? True. Okay, then after it looks for those exact things, what it needs to confirm through this filter is that there was nothing returned from there. Because if it already had the same name and event link, then we don't want it to keep coming in through the new event one, right? So then, since it knew that there was nothing with that name and event link together, then it creates a Notion database item, which, due to the fact that this is in Mountain Time, as a baseline, I had to add 1 hour to both ends of the date property, and then I included it to have time for both bookends. And then I put the HTML link within the event link. I put the participants there, and if it had a conference call link, I would put it in there as well for ease of use. So then if we go back here, you'll see that, that at 9:30, I said, don't bother me, it's a holiday. And that worked just like that. Now what happens in this system if I go, I really want to make it go from like 12:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., right? What I have is a Notion update Google Calendar. So what does this look for? This looks for every 3 hours if a update happened in this meeting and notes. And then it searches the Google Calendar events within the last 7 days so that it's not looking through a crazy amount of data. And then does the HTML link equal the event link that is there? Does the name equal the name that is in Notion? And does the Hangout link equal the name that is there as well? So if we go here and press run, you'll see that it updated it because I moved it and everything synced. So if we go back here, we can look at the Google Calendar. Don't bother me, it's a holiday. There we go. So you see it moved the date, start, and end time there. So if I did it again and I said, all right, let's go back to 9:30 a.m. to 1:30. If I ran this one more time, boom. If I go back here, it would run it back to say, don't bother me. Hey, don't bother me, it's a holiday, okay? Let's not play this game. So we have an automation for if there is a new Google Calendar thing that is made. We have for what if this gets changed. But what about if we change the item in Google Calendar? Let's take this one, for example, and tweak it here from 12 to 4 p.m. Another automation that's within here is if there's a Google Calendar update, it'll update Notion. So if I run this guy, it'll do the exact same thing. So don't bother me, it's a holiday. Should, in theory, get moved back to 12 to 4. It did it. This is the power of having an automation and getting how automation software works. And if you use the Notion app system, I can easily put this template on the Meetings in Know software because it works just the same way. And you basically have a Google Calendar sync if you work with us as a client. So, and then the last thing that we're gonna want is to see search events Notion page creation. So you might be asking yourself, what's the point of this one? And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. This is for literally looking for recurring events. So for example, this takes the start date from your Google Calendar every day at 4 a.m. and it figures out start needs to be after now, so when it's happening, but it needs to be before 7 days from now. So anything within the next week that's a recurring task, it'll populate in there. That is how, I keep saying recurring task, recurring event. That is how, for example, take a look at next week. I have a sync with my editor next week at 7:15. That's a weekly recurring event. That is how I have this sync right here at 7:15. And as you can see, for some reason I wanted to be a psychopath and join over a week early. I could through the Google Hangout link. If you want to have this implemented in your own workspace, we can do it for you at Rise Productive. And if you guys are interested in me making this a template, I may put that out there. There might be a price tag associated to it due to the, Notion doesn't have it. So it took me some time, and I believe premium things sometimes deserve a small price. And the nice thing about this is, unlike other syncs, if you have this, you can also use make.com and the $8 a month version. And basically you'll just have this and then make.com on top of it. This would be a few dollars for my template, and then the software is a little bit as well, but well worth it. Just like if you checked out this video right here,